about Harry Potter readings, then there have been 4 in total, so including this one.
Oh, okay. So I didn't know you'd done spaces. So how do you like the experience?
Um, yeah, I enjoy it. I much prefer it to say. I mean, I'm not a serial vlogger like you are, but and I've not really tried it, but I much prefer it to all of those things.
Yeah, because you can maintain some more anonymity
Yeah.
and there's less to worry about. Because I know with doing live streaming, there are just so many cognitive demands that it's harder to have room in your head left for thinking. But with a
Mm.
space, you can actually concentrate on your ideas and whatever you want to say without having to worry about a lot of technical issues.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, so this is a recorded space. Is that okay with you, or do you want me to start one again where it's not
Yes,
recorded?
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
because some people they object to that. They're not okay with there being a recorded space. Do you know what I want? I wanted to ask you. So you had Mega Varma on your podcast, right? On your live stream
Yes,
once. So
yes.
what happened then? I mean, you're not friends anymore. You're not in contact. I thought it was quite interesting how she just kind of doesn't even talk about that anymore. And I have a feeling that she's fallen out with Anna Kachian as well. I don't know if you've heard of Anna Kachian and Dasha. Both of them have a podcast called
No.
Red Scare.
Oh, okay. I've heard of the podcast
Mm,
Red Scare. I mean,
mm,
that's famous.
yeah,
So I never had any friendship with what's her name? Mega.
yeah, Mega. Let's just call her Meg. Well, actually, the correct pronunciation of her forename and surname is Megha Verma, but I think the sort of anglicized pronunciation is just Mega Varma. So Mega should be okay.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I never had any friendship with her. It was just I requested her to come on the show, and she came on the show, and that was it. And I'm so slack, I can't even find the show that she was on.
I mean,
But it was
can
just
you
a
not
one-off.
search? Can you not search for it on your blog with her name? It does not. Or
Yeah, I have, and I just can't find it. So
that's so
pretty slack of
strange.
me, but yeah.
I'll have a look for it then. I mean, I think it was a couple of years ago now, more than a couple actually. What do you think? It was when she was kind of
Yeah, I
starting
think
off
that.
and wasn't that big on Twitter.
Yeah. What happened though was immediately after I interviewed her, she just disappeared. There was like some criticism of her, and she just
Mm,
like disappeared for weeks. But
mm.
I never tried to stay in touch. I haven't had anything but the one-off. Hey, would you like to come on my show? She came on my show, and I'm unaware of any other interaction I've had with her.
Well, I think that happens to women on your show. What do you think? That you have the interactions that you have with women are generally kind of more one-off,
Yeah, yeah.
or maybe
I
they
mean,
do
not
a
just with
couple of
women.
yeah.
With
Oh, okay, with
yeah,
yeah with
I mean with
other
people in
guests as
general.
well. Yeah. Well, but then
You know,
you've got that Duvid dude who keeps is a
yeah, I
recurring.
have some regulars, but most things are just one off. I notice like a lot of like human connection stuff is like a foreign language to me because I
Mm,
didn't grow up, connected to my parents. Like I kind of grew up in foster care where I had
mm.
the hell beaten out of me, and so normal facets of human connection and communication are like a foreign language to me. So I know people often like connect in ways that I'm just like envious of. So I have to admit most guests on my show are pretty much one off unless
Mm,
we happen to share like a similar sense of humor. Like
right.
I think what to the extent that you and I have a connection is because we have a similar sense of humor.
Right, and well, I'm glad to hear that, and I'm glad that you noticed it as well. But what about Duvid? I mean, do you share a sense of humor there? Because Duvid is not funny to me.
No, no. There's no sense of humor there, but there's a connection which I can't articulate, but there is a connection there. So most people who are regulars on my show, we share a similar, what I would understand as a perverse sense of humor. Um,
Mm,
but David doesn't have a sense of humor,
right.
which is it's not his fault. That's just not the language that he speaks. Just like normal human connection, it's
Yeah,
not the language that I
but
speak.
I mean, I don't think he lacks a sense of humor. I mean, he's kind of passive, but I do think he can understand humor, right? If you are making a joke, I think Duvid does get it. It's not like a complete case of autism going on. What do you think? He
Um,
won't crack the jokes
uh,
himself, but I don't think.
it doesn't seem
Yeah,
to bring him any joy,
right.
and so it's like you cook a meal for someone, and it makes absolutely no difference to them, whether you cook a meal for them or you give them a glass of water. So once you have that experience, you just don't feel any incentive to cook any more meals for them. And so if you crack jokes or make fun for people, some people really appreciate it, and then other people don't. So I'm trying to get better in my old age at recognizing which people appreciate my humor and which people don't. Because if people don't appreciate it, then I should just not do it because it's not really adding anything to their life.
Right, yeah. Z, do you want to speak? Do you want to ask Luke any questions? I mean, I would be interested to know if you've heard of Luke Ford before or followed any of his content. Okay, he's putting a thumbs down. Um, how was your Sabbath yesterday?
Oh, it's nice. It's nice to be with an in group where you don't have to explain stuff and you can just say horrible things that you can't say in the polite world.
But
So
what sort
like I
of
really enjoy.
horrible things? Like, can you bash the gays? That's the main thing.
Oh God.
I still
Well,
remember
I
you
just
were reading out some article in an Australian newspaper about how this guy was going around killing gays or something, and most people would be devastated, but you were just reading it out in such a humorous tone that
like that's a horrible thing to do,
yeah,
and like I disavow whatever I did. But like I like to have a space where I can be horrible. I mean,
yeah. But
my
was it
horribleness is
really
like
horrible?
really.
Your commentary was really good there.
Yes, I disavow. I disavow. I'm really opposed. It's a terrible thing. But I mean, there are like all sorts of things that most people find really sad. I just find hilarious.
Right.
So I have to be really careful about that. Like, um, like I know various women who've like told me anecdotes how they just repeatedly get raped.
Mm,
You know, they're out there dating
mm,
and they get into bed naked with some dude and they're like shocked that he ends up raping them.
mm.
And like this happens to the woman again and again and again and again.
Yeah, but they
And
might be
it's so
making it
very
up. I mean,
dark.
okay,
It's
that.
it's
Sorry, go ahead.
it's yeah. It's just like it's so dark, but it's also if you put yourself in that position, like it's also very darkly. This is terrible, but it's very darkly funny when people repeatedly put themselves in a position to be taken advantage of, or it's not just sexually, financially, or the human condition is just hilarious. Like the gays in Australia who got pushed over the cliff, they weren't sitting in the park reading Shakespeare. Like they were in the park having random sex with strangers, and then other people came along and were not thrilled about it.
Mm.
So what do you think is going to happen if you're hooking up, with complete randos, over a cliff? People in regular society are not always like thrilled about that.
Yeah. No, I get where you're coming from. I found that episode of your kind of live stream thingy really funny. But I'm not watching your live stream so much anymore, if I can admit that here, Luke.
Oh, sure. I mean, they're not for everyone. They're probably not a good use of your time. Like I wouldn't recommend them to anyone for whom they're not meeting the occasional need.
I mean, I used to listen to them quite a bit, and I've got quite a few screen recordings of you that I've uploaded onto my YouTube channel, and anything that I sort of benefited from or found really funny on your live stream.
Yeah, well, like a little bit of 40 can go a long way.
Yeah,
Like 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there, is probably
yeah,
more than enough
you
for
are
most people.
eternally in my brain now, and I don't have to listen to you again.
Yeah, I mean, you've probably you've had enough. It's good. Like I wouldn't expect anyone to watch the show on a regular basis. It's a like my according to YouTube, my audience is 100% male.
Right. Well, people do tell me that I'm male brained. Like, whenever they hear my voice on a space, they're like, "What the hell? We thought you were a man." And I'm like, "Hello." Like, okay, yeah, gazelles can be male, but generally speaking, you associate gazelles with female. So I just thought, well, why didn't you
Yeah,
think of that? And so obviously, like, no, but you tweet like a man.
you do. I mean, you have a
Oh,
male sense of humor.
right. Yeah.
Um, and I've got a feminine side. I love to talk about emotions and stuff like that.
And
So
you love to
people are
hang around
complicated.
cliffs as well.
Yeah, I love gossip and I love relationships and I love psychology and emotions and feelings and love wounds and love maps and eroticize this and yeah. So I mean, people are complicated.
Do you know who's taken well, who's given you sort of competition in my life?
Tell me.
I mean, you could guess. I retweet this person a lot. I don't know if you've been on my Twitter feed for a while now, but like I retweet this person a lot these days. And
Okay,
it's
go
he's
ahead.
a comedian. He's very funny. He
Okay,
does
I'm
live
scrolling.
streams.
I'm
So,
scrolling.
so in terms of competition,
Oh,
right?
Owen
Yeah.
Benjamin.
So somebody who does live streams. So he's your competitor now in my life.
Oh my God, Owen Benjamin. Man, I'm like he's done movies and TV. I mean, he has an enormous audience.
I mean, is it
He's
that big
very
now?
funny.
He is very funny, but he's had a bit of a change in his life now, right? That he's living on a farm. He's taking his
I
religion
haven't
very
followed him for
seriously,
years.
right? Well, I would say you could get into him again. I don't know if you were a fan in the first place, actually, but he's it's a new chapter of his life. He's not the same Owen anymore.
What's going on with him? Because it seemed like last time I paid attention to him was like 4 years ago, and it seemed like he was self-destructing. So, what's going on with him
Well,
these days?
I think he's building back from there. I mean, he self-destructed in a way that nobody else did. Most people who self-destruct in that scene, they kind of just go towards alcohol or something, or they come back and do something really outrageous. But he's rejected politics completely now. Like he doesn't believe in the left-right divide, blah 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 blah. So once you liberate yourself from that, then you can actually build yourself in a different way. So you can transcend politics and turn to religion in a different way to most people.
And how sane does he seem to you?
I think he's very sane. It's like, for example, people probably think you are insane, or and so
Absolutely,
you've told me,
absolutely.
and this is public, by the way, so I'm not saying this in a kind of
Yeah,
derogatory manner, but you think that you have narcissistic personality disorder, and I keep telling you, no, you don't even have it. I've said this to you via DM quite a few times, that I just don't think
yeah.
you have it because I think you're quite normal in my head. Uh,
Uh,
I don't know. I enjoy having a conversation with you. As you said, that we get each other's sense of humor. This is actually the first time we're speaking to each other, so
It
Yeah,
is.
and
Yeah,
yet it feels like,
I didn't think about that.
yeah,
Yeah, like we've known each other for years.
mm. And so I think the same with Owen. I think it's just, I know people are going to think, oh, this is such a cop out, but I would say society is deranged. That they just don't get things anymore. You speak to somebody, you crack a joke, you use some sort of idiomatic expression, something of that nature. Like people's capacity for language is just kind of not there anymore. I don't know if you've sensed that.
Yeah, but I mean, Owen Benjamin is brilliant.
Mm.
Like I would say, the guy's like 30 IQ points on me. I mean, he's brilliant. Now I think he's nuts on a lot of things, or at least I did 4 years ago when I listened to him. But you can be brilliant and nuts. But he is very intelligent. Like he's like genius level IQ.
And he's such a good piano player, and kind of merges that in with his comedy, which is just amazing. But I disagree with you. I don't think he's that high IQ, and he's admitted that in a space as well, in one of his live streams as well. But I mean, I don't know what your IQ is, by the way, Luke. So
It's in the 120, so I would assume that you and I are approximately the same.
he's about 140 something. So
Yeah,
your
I'm like
approximation,
120.
pretty good. Yeah.
And how about you?
I've not had it tested, so I mean, it's been ages. It's been almost, I'd say, 15 years since I've had it tested.
And what was it then,
It was
if I may?
157 then, but I don't think I'm as clever anymore. I think it's gonna be like 70 or something.
But I wouldn't be surprised if you were. Like if I found out that you were like 30 IQ points above me, it wouldn't be surprising to me.
Hey, you can't backtrack now because you're like, oh, you're about the same as me. You're about 120.
No, I do. My guess is that you're about the same. But if you were more, I wouldn't be shocked. So there are some people who I guess are about the same as me, and I would be shocked if they were more. But you have these flashes where I think, wow, she's kind of operating in a different galaxy from me.
Yeah, but you still understand that galaxy, I think, which means that we're not really.
I can kind of see it,
Yeah,
with a telescope,
right.
and I think, wow,
And
it'd be
so,
awesome
I
to
mean,
be there.
speaking of telescopes, Owen Benjamin now thinks the Earth is 100% flat. I mean, well, he doesn't agree with the globalists, which he defines as people who believe that the Earth is a globe. Okay, there's a different definition of globalism going on. So, I mean,
Hilarious.
no,
Yeah,
but,
I
but
mean,
some of his
that's
content
just
is
nuts.
so convincing. Like, I don't know.
So, do you think he's like? Do you think he's dangerous for your well-being, or you just view him as entertainment?
No, I don't view him as entertainment because I do take him seriously. I mean, he's very funny, and I've got some screen recordings of him on my Twitter feed and on my uploaded to my YouTube account as well. Anything that I find funny of his, but I do take him seriously at the same time. I think that his humor reveals something about human nature that is true.
Yeah, I mean, any humor that's worth anything reveals something about human nature that's true. I mean, I think that's the test for humor. Like, it's not funny if it's not true.
Yeah, but people are always revealing different things, and sometimes those revelations are in opposition to one another. So, for example, if you, haven't listened to that much George Carlin, but like generally speaking, he's an atheist. He's dead now, but he was an atheist, and so anything that he reveals about human nature, it's going to be in the direction of kind of, oh, look at them, they all are sheep for God. And so, but Owen Benjamin, on the other hand, he's saying we're all sheep for secularism, right? We're all sheep. We're all sheep. I was going to say Sikh then. Well, we're all sheep for the opposite of God. And so,
Yeah, but I think they're both getting at the truth. Like,
yeah,
we all have hero systems.
yeah.
So, my hero system is, Torah, Orthodox Judaism. Owen Benjamin's hero system, I would assume, is, some form of Christianity. George Carlin's hero system is atheism. But they're all getting at the eternal truth that we all have different hero systems, and we think of those who don't share our hero system as, at best, losers and benighted.
True, but one hero system can reveal how debased humans are, and the other human system, hero system, sorry, can reveal how, um, yeah, the opposite humans are.
Right, but they're both correct. I mean, I'm incredibly base, I'm incredibly horrible,
Mm,
and I'm also incredibly, moral and upstanding, in different ways. Like I'm a very mixed bag,
mm.
along with everyone else. I mean, there's nothing special in that. Humans are, potentially horrible and potentially wonderful. People are a mixture, right?
Yeah.
I mean, would you feel comfortable describing many of your own tendencies as horrible and many of your own tendencies as noble?
Well, right now, I don't think I'm very noble. I think I think most of my tendencies I'd label as bad.
Right, but I mean, you're incredibly gracious, to me as a guest. You're very polite and empathic about whether people are okay with being recorded or not. So, I mean, I would see all those things as noble.
Mm.
And, I'm sure you do positive things for people in your life. And I'm also sure that you're, a total pain in the ass at times for people in your life.
Well, that's really nice of you to say, though. I really appreciate the compliments there and the fact that you've noticed that about me, and also the pain in the ass thing as well. That's true. Uh, so what is the question now? or is there no question?
Oh, are you like I have a lot of self-loathing, but in my as I grown up, I don't have as much loathing for my self-loathing. So it's pretty easy for me to accept that I've got a lot of horrible tendencies and a lot of noble tendencies. My question for you was: are you at ease with the reality of who you are, in that you have both these tendencies, towards being horrible and towards being noble, or are you kind of ill at ease with some of that or all of that?
No, I'm at ease with it because I feel that if I didn't have both of these tendencies, I wouldn't be able to understand Andrew Tate as I do.
Right.
I've cracked a joke there, but I think I am being serious. But a lot of people, they just don't understand Andrew Tate like I do. But I just get him in a way that other people don't, and that's because of my own tendencies. Um, so I'm at ease with who I am. But I mean, anytime I don't feel like I'm at ease, I'm more into blaming society now than I was before. It's ironic because people usually they start off blaming society, and then they're like, oh no, it's all our fault, and we've got to look to us inside, and it's the devil inside of me. But honestly, like I do think there's something wrong with society. For example, you asked me, well, it's interesting that we understand each other, we understand each other's sense of humor, and yes, I think that's because society has changed. They just don't get somebody like Luke Ford anymore, even though he's a nice man, he's funny, he's charismatic, and so that is society's fault. Because I don't think there's anything wrong with you, and even your little label that you've got NPD. I mean, I've been with people with narcissistic personality disorder, and it is nothing like you.
Hmm. Now, you say you understand Andrew Tate. Most people that I know, to the extent they think of Andrew Tate, they just think he's horrible. So, are there other dimensions to Andrew Tate aside from being horrible? I just find him moronic, moronic low life pimp. But you say you understand Andrew Tate. So, what is there about Andrew Tate beyond the very cheap and easy put downs that most people I know would have of him?
I think he's just a sort of very experimental person. That even his pimping out of women was to understand what women are like. So there's a kind of more beyond the kind of apparent kind of sadistic nature of it all. There is a deeper experimental interest in what makes a human, right? So saying that women are they would just follow anything. Women are inherently like sheep. If you do this, if you do this, if you do this, well, okay, most moral people won't do all of the things that he's doing, but he's got a point there, right? So I don't know. I just think he's like it's hard to express because I've not had the opportunity to like it's all up in my head a little bit, if you know what I mean. But I
Hmm.
consider him a very empirical person. I've got to see it to believe it, right? That sort of thing. So even the kind of path to Islam, so now he's converted, that's also been quite empirical as well. So he's been looking, how do Muslims behave? What is it like to be a Muslim? What is it like to live in, say, the UAE or Dubai or whatever? And he's been watching and observing. And yeah, he's uploaded a picture of himself reading the Quran, and the Quran is placed on his groin. I don't know if you've seen that. He's
Wow.
lying in bed, wearing his boxers.
No.
But the thing is, actually, it's not even forbidden in the religion. So all the sort of critics going mad about this. I'm not. I mean, obviously, if you literally think about him putting the Quran on his dick, that is a bit weird. But the point is, he's just
Yeah.
lying in bed reading.
So
It's not.
I
Yeah.
dated.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Mhm. I've dated various women who are just fascinated with serial killers. And it's not unusual for serial killers to receive all sorts of mail from women, often sending alluring photos of themselves.
Hmm.
Do you resonate with that? Is there a significant part of you that is kind of fascinated with bad boys?
No, I'm not fascinated by bad boys. Also, I find Andrew Tate very handsome, so that might be something to do with it. Like, if he was just a minger, like I don't know if you say minger you're from Australia, aren't you, Luke? Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought we say minger
yeah.
here in the UK. So if he was just
Yeah.
this minging sort of, ooh, I'm a pimp, and he's got nothing physically appealing about him. He doesn't have any kind of charm. Then I would not have any interest in him whatsoever. Like even if he was going around killing everybody and making huge loads of money, I would not have any interest. I would just think yuck. Like
Have you ever sent a letter to a serial killer?
no.
Okay, I was just curious. It's kind of a weird part of
Because
the male female
I don't I
dynamic.
don't I don't think of him as a serial killer either. I think of him. I see a
Hmm.
light in him. Again, so as
Hmm.
you asking, what do you see in him that others don't? I see a kind of uh, innocence in him. Ironically, like even after doing all of these things, I mean, he's not killing people, right? He's just engaged in this sex work industry, and he's a pimp. But there's he's honest about it, right? So there is transparency there that you don't see with other people. But again, that transparency might be there because he's hiding something even worse, right? So yeah.
Do you have any kind of to the extent that you can say this publicly? Do you have any kind of fascination with the sex industry?
What is the sex industry? Are you talking about porn? Are you talking about
Well, Andrew Tate and I have something in common in that I wrote about the sex industry, the porn industry, for a decade or so. Andrew Tate is accused at least of pimping women, and so I was just curious if the darkness of the flesh industry is fascinating to you.
It is a little bit fascinating to me, but then again, I've not actually read your book. So that is ironic as well. That if I was fascinated enough, I would go
Right.
and read it. But then I have watched the kind of mini documentary on you and your past life, and you sort of video it, and your own production, where you're kind of videoing random women in the park and things like that. I found that interesting. But
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I'm like, for example, Eric Weinstein. Is it Weinstein or Weinstein?
I believe the proper is Weinstein, though I don't often say the proper pronunciation.
Okay, well, I'll stick to Weinstein because I've heard Owen Benjamin call him Eric Weinstein recently. So, Eric Weinstein, he's got some interview with Riley Reid, who is this famous pornographic actress, and it's like I wasn't interested one bit to watch that. I mean, maybe I would have been interested like 10 years ago when sex was more of a
Mm-hmm.
fascination to me, especially coming from a Muslim background. But I really didn't care for what she had to say because I watched some of those Eric Weinstein podcasts. I think the podcast was called The Portal or something like that. And I
Mm-hmm.
listened to his stuff with Sam Harris, and I was quite attentive to a few of those podcasts. But when it came to Riley Reid, again, like there is an irony there because I would. I mean, I would reply in the affirmative that I do have a bit of a fascination with those things, but the irony is that it just isn't that big a fascination for me to sit there and watch these people with that great of an interest.
And what's your fascination with Harry Potter?
Oh, it's
What's that about?
there is no fascination actually. I really hate Harry Potter. J.K. Well, I don't really hate Harry Potter. That's not true. I'm not really a fan like a lot of people are. J.K. Rowling is an interesting character to me. So I have, yeah, I'll accept you in a second, Ace. I'll just finish my point about J.K. Rowling. Ace wants to speak, Luke, so it'd be interesting what he has to say.
Yes.
So yeah, J.K. Rowling, she is an interesting character to me because she is heading this kind of pro turf lobby, right? I don't know if
Yes.
you've noticed, like, but in the mainstream media kind of echo chamber, she is the one who's the face of the turfs, and she's really like, oh, I hate trans toilets. We're really worried about trans toilets, and is always tweeting these sorts of things. But then J.K. Rowling, her crime fiction pen name, her pseudonym is Robert Galbraith. So she's fucking writing as a man herself. So there is a kind of weird thing going on here. I feel that her
Yeah. It just
I'll just finish that. I feel that her fixation on the trans issue is disingenuous, and there is a psychoanalytic framework that can be employed here. Like there is a level of projection going on, which is unexplored, to me at least.
Yeah, it just struck me that another thing we have in common is that we think that most social, political, cultural commentary is really stupid, and we kind of laugh at
Yeah, definitely. And I don't think we always trust the apparent. I'm just going to leave and come back because I can't hear Ace. If you guys just stay here, I'm just coming.
Yeah. How's it going, Ace?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
I can hear you, and I'm sure Curious will be able to hear you in a minute. So, what's on your mind today, Ace?
Well, I'm just very surprised that this space is happening, Luke Ford, because there was one specific video where you had a bunch of people on that made an impact on me, and so it's very cool to see you in here on Twitter. A lot of the people that have been through some of the right wing circles usually don't do spaces, so I just think it's pretty cool. But I was curious with your background how you kind of got your show into some of these right wing circles, because I don't know you too well. Again, I haven't seen too many of your videos, but you did seem to be one of the few people that that like got out of that kind of alt right scene without any. Sure, sure. Yeah, I'm sorry to say I did not. I wasn't tuning into your show regularly, but I thought you kind of had this niche where you were basically like the Johnny Carson of the alt right, if you don't mind me saying that.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, and so I was just curious, like what fascinated you about enough to invite a lot of these types of people on, people that would go on to kind of blow up in the news, people like Fuentes and all these other personalities that were kind of cutting their teeth on things like your show. So I was just curious what attracted you to it.
I think, as I understand it, I'm a bachelor. I've never been married. I don't have kids, and I think you'll see with people who don't have children of their own that they tend to chase excitement. And so I've chased excitement into some pretty dark places. But the one of the places I chased excitement was into the alt right. it was just weird and exciting to talk to these people with, these socially disreputable, supposedly the most evil people around. Like, it's exciting to talk to, supposedly really evil people, whether they're in the pornography industry or, some kind of, ethnic or racial nationalism. Yeah, I guess excitement is kind of the common core to many of the topics that I talk about or, invite people on. So I think that's the uniting factor. I'm just another, adrenaline junkie bachelor.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. Because there's a lot of people kind of in the aftermath of, I mean, I guess we could say after 2017, that was kind of the post era. But a lot of people have tried to make sense of it. Obviously, you're effectively kind of